1984 by George Orwell. How Language Evolves, Narrowing the Range of Thought and Communication by Darboe. 1984 is a dystopian novel that warns people of the future about totalitarian government. Set in the future, this book was written during the time of World War II and has elements and symbols of war, but one of the biggest problems this novel focuses on is the evolution of language. Language gives us the power to move thoughts from one brain to another across space using mouth and across time using writing. Language lets us think more clearly and precisely, as well as see the world more accurately and completely. Building on ideas of others rather than starting from zero each time helps the world move forward in progression. This is only possible because of language, says Ms. Zimmerman. In 1984, the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought, says George Orwell, which is interesting because we would think that language is only getting better, but Orwell is communicating that it is only getting worse. Language in social media. Social media slang has adversely affected the learning of students, especially in terms of their reading and writing skills. The use of slang on social media has caused the students to become more reliant on abbreviations and acronyms, which Syme describes as the beauty of the destruction of words in 1984. This decrease in reading and writing skills can lead to a decrease in academic performance as students are not able to comprehend and express their thoughts in a clear and concise manner. As the use of slang is utilized more every year, fewer and fewer words exist, and the range of consciousness almost always a little smaller, which Orwell points out directly in 1984. As students are less exposed to a wide range of words and phrases, their range of thought becomes less productive because they may not have the correct words to describe something. This decrease in vocabulary and thought can lead to a decrease in the ability to express oneself in a clear and sufficient manner. The use of slang on social media can also lead to a decrease in critical thinking skills, as students are not exposed to a wide range of ideas and perspectives. This decrease in critical thinking skills leads students to lack of thinking critically and analyzing information, just like in 1984 when Syme tells Winston that by the year 2050, at the very latest, not a single human being will be alive who can understand a conversation. As we progress towards more technological ages, we are moving closer to communication obstacles and poor vocabulary, which may result in a return to communication through symbols and gestures. This photo shows the drastic increase in social media usage in the span of just 6 years. From what we see, the use of social media has almost doubled in the far left column. This is bad for our future because the survey was taken by 13 to 17-year-olds who are the future of our planet. This is exactly what George Orwell is pointing out. The interrelatedness of language and perception. Vocabulary correlates with range of thought and perception. The objective of Newspeak is to get rid of words and consolidate the dictionary to narrow range of thought and consciousness. This works perfectly for the party because perception is the process of interpreting sensory information and forming an understanding of the environment. It is the basis of all communication and language. The same thing goes the other way too, as language is a tool used to express and interpret perceptions. If you take one away, you may take both away. This is what Orwell is trying to convey to us when he says, there will be no words in which to express it. Every concept that can ever be needed will be expressed in exactly one word. For example, when you hear the word orange, the first thing that comes to your mind can either be the color orange or the fruit itself. An artist may assign a variety of tints for the color orange. In this case, the language determines the perception. Other examples of things like this are Spanish speakers considering bridges masculine, so when asked to describe one, they use adjectives such as powerful, long, or tall. German speakers, on the other hand, consider bridges feminine, so when asked, they use adjectives such as slender, peaceful, elegant, or pretty. A study conducted by psychologists at the University of London compared the way English and Himba speakers group colors. The Himba language only has one word for blue and green, while English differentiates between the two. The study revealed that Himba speakers had difficulty differentiating between blue and green when shown an image with a blue square and 11 squares that were green. When they were shown 12 squares in varying shades of green, they were able to identify the differences in the shades of colors, while the English speakers failed to do so. This suggests that if a language has a linguistic distinction about something, the speaker will have no trouble in identifying the item. If the distinction is lacking in language, the speaker will find it hard to distinguish. Language in communication. Imagine being put in an escape room with 20 people speaking completely different languages, having no idea what anyone is saying. This would be the outcome of no verbal communication, but they would still be able to interact by using gestures. Whereas if language was taken away, people would not have the words for what they want to say, whether they speak the same language or not. Newspeak was designed not only to extend but to diminish the range of thought, and this purpose was indirectly assisted by cutting the choice of words down to a minimum, says Orwell in his appendix, forcing people to release abstract ideas from their brain and over time lowering their critical thinking to almost nothing. Language and communication are used interchangeably all the time, but they are still two different things. Without language, the ability to communicate complex ideas would not exist because we simply would not have the words for it. No language means no communication, which means we would have to relearn how to do everything instead of learning secondhand like how we do from textbooks. Without communication, there would be no science, technology, or medicine, and the world would be stuck in an endless cycle with no progression. Language was intended to control citizens by providing a medium of expression for the worldview and mental habits, but also to make all other modes of thought impossible, says George Orwell. The party uses these things against the people by restricting their vocabulary. If they don't have the words to say anything bad about the party, then they can't say anything at all. Solutions to this problem. Since narrowing vocabulary narrows range of thought, we can all play a part in stopping this from happening. Learning new words and actually remembering and using them is a great way to keep our thoughts flourishing with new ideas. Whenever we learn something new, we tend to start seeing it everywhere. This is due to our brains forming a connection with that thing. Imagine how lively the world could be perceived if we had known everything. Vocabulary tests and word root quizzes are great ways for teachers to get their students to see the world in a new way. Just remember as students to stay conscious and keep fighting for your critical thinking instead of becoming passive like pros, or else you may become just like Winston and fall in love with Big Brother.